I'm in Port St. Lucie. It's a bazillion degrees outside. I've got Greg Oldakowski, who is a builder in Port St. Lucie, and he will reveal the truth of what's happening in today's housing market. We are taking a tour of the Amazon Fulfillment Shipping Center, which never opened.
One-man guardhouse.
Look at the size of this place.
This is like the parking lot in Magic Kingdom.
Amazon cut the pinky to save the arm. So during the height of the pandemic, Amazon went out there and signed contracts to build how many?
13 sites just in Florida.
13 distribution sites in Florida.
Knowing that the economics pointed to the influx of people and new residents moving to Florida.
And then they reneged on how many of them?
We've got one in our backyard.
Oh, here's the one that they absolutely did not close.
I don't see many tractor trailers here.
And Amazon pulling out definitely damaged the local economy.
You probably have us on video. This is LTC Ranch. This is another industrial park off of Midway Road, which is the next exit if you're going up 95. It's in St. Lucie to get up to Midway. And this is basically your divider line from Port St. Lucie into Fort Pierce. So that's a big gas station going and figuring they were going to have all of the residual from all of the semi trucks.
From the Amazon business that didn't get.
That's not going
That didn't close.
So now this gas station is kicking itself because the only thing over here is Tropicana. We're going under because there's no orange crop. This town
no bueno.
In a whirlwind of
boom and bust.
Boom and bust is the perfect way to describe it. It's the Met Stadium, then going back to the model.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, I saw that you were at the model with it, but I wasn't going to disturb you.
That is called client relations.
I got it. Well, listen, you guys have a great time, and I'll catch up.
Here it is. The sign on it. This was, when I say a true success story, when I built my house, he lived right across the street from me. He was a salesman for this company. His name is Travis Leonard. He just bought out the original owner. And this is the most premier and prestigious pool builder, I'd say, in almost all of Florida.
And he was your neighbor?
He lived right across the street from me. He was the first person I met. And I met him when I was building the house. And, he'd gone on. He had 2 girls. He's got a beautiful wife, beautiful family. And just a true, you talk about the American success story. Never went to college, just got out and worked. A great salesman. And I love the guy. He's like one of my closest friends with here. One of the most genuine people I know.
So I've talked a lot in the past about leading market indicators, and I'm constantly looking for signs of weakness in my housing market. And I've talked a lot about in the past the fact that right now, home builders have all the leverage. GL, Toll Brothers, everyone within my hyper-local market is continuing to raise home prices. They're continuing to raise lot premiums. There is a scarcity of resource, there is a scarcity of land, and there is tremendous appetite for that product. But today we're in Port St. Lucie, and you have a similar market, but it's a little bit different. Can you share with me your experience in the housing market and also why you moved here in the first place?
This has been a 20-year process. Started the company, been here for 2 decades, and we've been coming to Port St. Lucie for nearly 50 years. My grandparents moved here from Connecticut, so being a South Florida resident, we would always travel up here on the weekends, and we knew Port St. Lucie landed had population of 40 people.
We go way back. We went to high school together. We grew up in the Parkland, Coral Springs area. And at the time, South Florida was a very different place. We're talking about 30 years ago. Port St. Lucie, at that point, I called it Port St. Lucie. Nobody wanted to be here. It was the middle of nowhere. And frankly, back then, Coral Springs wasn't exactly in super high demand. Parkland wasn't in super high demand. And where I live now in Boynton Beach, it was all rural agricultural land. Nobody wanted to live there. And now that's the hottest markets that exist within the South Florida market.
Port St. Lucie has developed over the last 20 years into the eighth largest city. And it is because people love the Treasure Coast, they love the lifestyle, they love the amenities, but what they love most is the affordability.
And that's the big thing that most people are concerned about right now is the affordability of housing. We got mortgage interest rates that damn near 8%. If you've got perfect credit, if you don't have perfect credit, they're much higher. And one of the incentives that home builders do have, especially for quick delivery products, is they will, in some cases, offer incentivized mortgage rates. So some of these mass production builders, like Toll Brothers, for example, will give a loss leader and offer a sub 6% mortgage to get rid of the property that they have in their inventory right now. And we haven't seen really any incentives in the market. That's the only incentive that I've seen, but it's for property where someone reneged on the deal. They're just looking to offload it. And they've made so much money over the last few years, they can afford to do so. Those opportunities don't exist in the resale space, but you're up in Port St. Lucie. You are one of the best builders in this market, and we're in one of your model homes right now, which, by the way, is incredible. But yeah, no, just tell me a little bit more about your experience, because I think it's important that everyone understands.
In Port St. Lucie, we offer a product that is a niche product. It is truly a custom home. So clients that are looking for their forever home or want to be hands-on as far as designing it, incorporating elements, that is our forte. That is where we have built our reputation, sterling reputation of delivering a true custom home. Bartuga model. This is a stunner. They took it, they customized it. And this, as we were talking about, niches, that is what we do. You're not going to find that home from anybody else. Nobody can do that here.
That's a sick house.
That's a defining difference. Mr. Vitale. I built the house a while ago.
So you got started right as the market was exploding, right?
That's correct. So we moved here at the end of '02, and we caught a tremendous run. It was one of the largest value new home construction runs, especially in Florida. Port St. Lucie was competing with Las Vegas as the most quickly expanding city in America. So we would go between number one and number two, competing on growth, new home starts, as the data would show.
Right. And that was the frenzy. I mean, that's when I remember people talking about buy a home immediately, buy 2 homes,
Buy 10 homes.
buy 10 homes. There were the ninja loans. Subprime was everywhere. If you had a heartbeat and could pretend you had a heartbeat, they would give you a loan.
Your pet could.
Anybody could get a loan. And so that is why we saw the massive crash that happened afterwards, because none of those people could really support the homes. What was that like?
When we were in the build phase, and it was crazy here, we were competing against, I said, Las Vegas for the number one, number 2 spots. We also competed against Las Vegas as the number 4 closures in a city. And we were grappling between the number 1 and number 2 spot on the most foreclosures in the United States. That's how quickly the downturn hit. And all of the subprime mortgages you talked about, all of these investors or quasi-investors that wanted to get in, the greedy ones ended up reneging on their contracts. They went back to builders, and builders went under.
I remember one of our other friends who was so excited about the home that he bought. And when I went to visit him later, the builder couldn't finish the development. So I remember driving up here, and there were lots of not completed subdivisions that existed, and it looked like a ghost town. And I think right now a lot of people are afraid that that's what we're looking at in the future. What do you see happening near term? And I know you're not an economist or an analyst or a market timer, but what do you expect to see?
I think that there was a period that people got very comfortable with interest rates in the 2 to 3 range and are hoping they'll come back.
Right.
Will never happen again.
No.
I don't want to say never, but it is highly unlikely that we'll see interest rates back in the twos.
I agree.
A lot of people have a wait and see approach, which adversely ends up hurting them in the long run because the longer they wait, the more expensive things get.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed that in my market that real estate transactions are down about 40% year over year. So there are a lot less deals that are happening, but there's tremendous demand for the properties that are actually on the market. So although there's a big drop year over year, there's still intense competition for the right product. Do you see something similar to that here?
For us, being a niche product, we will always have a constant demand. We are accommodating every price point on the higher end. So when somebody says we are looking for a dream home, we're going to retire, we constantly have that demand.
Yeah, and I've noticed that the affordability difference between here and my market, it's insane. It's unbelievable the amount of home that you get. It's unbelievable the amount of property that you get. The lot that we're on right now is half an acre, and this house is what, 5 bedrooms?
5 bedroom, 3 bath, and it's got every amenity you could think of: pool, outdoor kitchen, circular drive, all the features as being a model home that people are looking for and want to incorporate into their build.
So this house in Palm Beach County is probably 1.6, and this house here is closer to 800, right? Which is an incredible value, and that's why you're having the success that you're having. All right, so show me this pool. All right, you went all out here. You've got the outdoor summer kitchen, which is fantastic. You've got an incredible pool. Now, many of my clients who are going under contract and buying homes in my market in GL or Toll Brothers or any of the other communities that exist, in many instances, they elect to not get a pool and they'll do it after market because they feel like the builder's robbing them. And one of the cool things that I like about your properties and the homes that you build is that you're offering tremendous value, but you're not really gouging them on price.
Not at all. What we provide is turnkey service. So instead of trying to build a pool after the fact and destroying your yard and tearing up your sprinklers, we build the home and the pool same time, as in any features that you elect to put in the house.
And what's also equally valuable is the fact that you've got huge green space. I mean, you've got a fenced in yard, you've got tremendous land between the fence and where the street starts, and there's no HOA, there's no restrictions, there's none of that, right?
This is a deep restricted community. Whereas you cannot have outlandish things in your yard, like out on a farm. You can't have chickens and goats. You can't have that. But you can have pools and a shed and a fence. And the beautiful part is your neighbor's not on top of you and there's no HOAs.
I know you mentioned that there are certain restrictions, like you can't have chickens or goats or a donkey in your backyard. But have you ever experienced a meth lab next door?
No, not a meth lab. Prostitution ring, possibly.
Most people who are shopping for homes are looking for affordability, and you offer some of the most value that I've seen for a product, anything even remotely close to this. And with interest rates the way they are, I suspect that your demand is on the uptick.
Our demand is always constant. So it's hard to judge if it's high, if it's low. You're definitely going to see your slow periods as you see your growth periods.
What was it like during COVID?
During COVID, there was not a playbook for how do you run your business through COVID. What we did was we continued to work almost on a daily basis. And what saved us was we were always outside. When you think of construction, you're outside. You're not on top of one another. There was all the mandates on how close you had to be, social distancing. When you're on a job site, you're outside, you're in the fresh air. So we did not have the stipulations of you can't work. And we took it as a green light and continue to work every single day.
Yeah, and I know you bucked the trend. I know that you were out there doing open houses, continuously marketing, continuously pushing to build and go forward. And that's the number one export, I think, of Florida, which is freedom.
While we continued keeping our sales model open, working with agents, working with brokers, we continue to have all of our social events. And one of the turning points was as COVID was starting to relax, We threw one of our most successful parties ever. It was a white party, charitable party that had 250 attendees. And
I
it
remember
was just
that
a
one.
feel-good moment that we finally felt like we're out of the thick of it.
The truth is, nobody can time the market. I will never call the absolute bottom or the absolute top, but I can't help but notice the Port St. Lucie market has been incredibly strong, at least as far as new construction is concerned, which is very similar to what we're seeing in South Palm Beach County. Now, I hope you found this content valuable, and if you did, please subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter where I can never be censored. Check me out on Patreon where I go off. Like the video because it helps the algorithm, and check out my next video because I suspect you will love it a lot. And until next time, peace.